Cool, we're live. Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Imogen from Course Report. So we're a resource for researching which coding bootcamp is right for you. We have a directory of all different coding schools, a blog with interviews with founders, instructors, and students, and it's all to help you work out which bootcamp you want to go to. So today I'm speaking with two graduates from DigitalCrafts Coding Bootcamp in Atlanta, Georgia. So Stephen and Stuart are actually brothers, and for their final project at DigitalCrafts, they built a platform called BootcampXChange, which is now being used to help connect students with potential employers. So hi guys, thank you so much for joining me today. This is really exciting. So perhaps you guys can both start with introducing yourselves and telling us about your education and career backgrounds before you decided to go to DigitalCrafts. Maybe Stephen, you can go first.
Okay, yeah, I'm Stephen. I went to school here in Atlanta at Georgia Tech. I had a degree in business management with an emphasis on finance. After graduation, I actually started a job as a proprietary equities trader, which for most people is probably, I guess, commonly known as a day trader. I would trade stocks with a short-term horizon. I did that for, I guess, 13 years or so. It can be stressful, definitely a stressful career. I got a bit burned out the last couple of years. Wanted to look into something else that would interest me that I thought I might be good at. I had done some coding a long time ago, back in high school and a couple of classes in college. But and I started. I can't remember. I may have seen it in Business Week magazine actually about how about coding boot camps were mentioned in that particular article. Started to kind of pique my interest that was out there. I didn't even know it existed. That's probably about a year ago. I saw that article. Started kind of looking into it, look at various schools in Atlanta, and I ended up going to DigitalCrafts.
Awesome. And what about you, Stuart?
Well, I actually went to college to get a degree in electrical engineering, and after I graduated, I did that in the Atlanta area for about 3.5 years. And then I got the opportunity to actually go work with my brother Stephen in the finance field, and so we were actually day traders together. And I did that for about 10 or 11 years, and found myself in the same situation as Stephen. It just kind of, it had its exciting moments, but overall it was a very stressful career, and I was kind of burned out. And so actually we both kind of researched this together, web development, and both decided at the same time to make a career change.
Cool. Sorry, Stuart, I just missed, I think you cut out at the beginning there. Could you just tell us again what your education was?
I went to college to get a degree in electrical engineering technology. I actually went to a school in Atlanta, Southern Tech.
Oh, awesome. Cool. And so had either of you learned coding before at college or by yourselves or anything?
In high school, I did an AP computer science course, and at Georgia Tech, I did an intro to computer science course. But other than that, it had been a gap of 12 or 13 years since I had looked at anything coding-wise.
Right. And what about you, Stuart?
It's about the same. I'd had a few courses in college, but my focus was not on computer programming, so I didn't do much with it. My work experience as an electrical engineer, I actually programmed PLCs, programmable logic controllers. That used ladder logic, which is a very simple type of programming language, nothing comparable to like web development or anything like that.
Right. And did either of you sort of try to learn coding by yourself, or did you kind of straight away decide that you wanted to do a coding boot camp?
For me personally, I'd look online at code as far as just doing basic coding challenges in JavaScript. I looked a little bit at online schools. For me, I kind of figured if I went the online route or if I just tried to learn it by myself, I thought that it would take longer for me to do it. So I was looking for something where I could just kind of go full time, push through it, and try to make the transition as quickly as possible. I think it could be done. I think it would have been a lot more difficult. It was very useful having somebody there constantly who could help you. So whenever you reach a challenge, that there was at least somebody to look forward to, to give you the assistance. And so for me, it was better for me, I think, to go into a school.
Cool. Similar reasons for you, Stuart?
Yes, I actually tried to do some learning online, and I was making progress, but what I found is that I would spend a lot of time researching a small problem that somebody with experience could help me get through in 5 or 10 minutes. I might spend an hour or 2 hours trying to dig down and find the answer. So for me, it was just making the best use of my time.
Right, that makes sense. And did you guys look at any other coding boot camps or just DigitalCrafts?
I looked at General Assembly and the Iron Yard here in Atlanta, and I went and toured both of them.
And Stuart, did you?
Yeah, the same thing, and I also looked at a couple of just online exclusively schools, but after my experiences of trying to learn on my own, I decided I wanted to do an in-person boot camp.
Awesome. And what made you guys choose DigitalCrafts over any other ones that you might have come across?
As far as that decision, it was certainly a risky decision. We were the first class for DigitalCrafts, so prior to us, it didn't exist. So there was a little trepidation there, worried about being guinea pigs or whatever, what if it fails, things of that sort. But like I said, I went toward General Assembly, toward the Iron Yard. DigitalCrafts, the program is a little bit longer. Those other schools had a 12-week program. This one had a 16-week program, which to me appealed. I thought I'd be able to get more in, maybe have a better idea of what I want to do. They cover a bit more information. I was hoping at least, being a longer program, that I would leave a bit more qualified to find a position. And then for me, I guess what put it over the top was obviously still school was unknown, but they did at least know who the professor was going to be. I got to meet him, talked with him. He seemed really knowledgeable, but he also seemed like the kind of person who could teach well. And so I just kind of went with my gut on that, hoping that I would be correct on that, and overall, I think it was. It wound up being a great teacher.
Cool. And as brothers, what made you guys decide to both go to the same school?
Well, it was an opportunity for us to spend some time together, and we've worked closely together for the last 10, 11 years. So we're kind of partners in crime, I guess you could say. And it was a good experience. I actually lived with Steven for a few months while we were in the boot camp. Because I'm actually a native to Florida, so I was kind of commuting back and forth a little bit.
That's cool. And what was it like studying in the class together?
I think it definitely helps you, as far as after school. We had our program during the day that you would the content that you would work on. In the evening, there wasn't anything that was mandatory. Nobody's going to force you to do it, but you did have homework or studying and things of that sort. And it probably was advantageous having someone there that if you had a question, somebody else's brain, you could pick about it.
That's cool. And what was your class like, as well as you guys, like in terms of size and diversity and other student backgrounds?
It was kind of a mix. We had 10 students, and it varied in backgrounds. We had a couple people who had some programming experience, and then we had people who came from fields that had absolutely nothing to do with programming. Some of them with like mechanical backgrounds or just out of school getting other degrees. So it was really pretty diverse as far as like education and experience.
Cool. And what about were there many women in the class?
No, there are no females. That's one of the things they're trying to help with, or they're trying to think of strategies to appeal to female coders. They weren't sure if there was something that they were doing that made them less appealing or not, but they're definitely looking for candidates who are female. It just happened in that cohort there were not any.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what was the learning experience like at DigitalCrafts? Maybe one of you can kind of go through a typical day and the sort of learning style you encountered there.
Well, in the morning it was more actual studying or covering new topics, going into depth, about whatever the topic for that day was. And then in the afternoon it was lab, where we would actually apply what we had learned in the morning and start working on projects. Sometimes it was something small that could be done that day. Oftentimes it was something that a topic that was bigger would carry on for the better part of the week. And in addition to that, we would also have topics to cover at home on our own time.
That's cool. And so we're going to do the screen share in a minute about BootcampXChange, but maybe you can first of all just tell me a bit about how you ended up working on BootcampXChange and kind of whose idea was it, that sort of thing.
Yeah, my wife is actually a graphic designer. So she had an idea of just from her experience of from her job. They a lot of times have a hard time finding freelance people or finding freelance people who are qualified, have a good reputation or whatever. Is something that they seem to run into repeatedly. So her idea, which she thought we could do for our final project, was to do a website where freelance people could create profiles, and then employers could go and look at those profiles, look at their work, maybe have a vetting process where you would be able to vouch for someone that they actually had that they were qualified or had the credentials or whatever. And then so that was our idea. Part of being a DigitalCrafts, they wanted to know what our final projects were. So when they called one of our final project. Jake, who's one of the founders of DigitalCrafts, came up to us and had a proposal that he had a very similar idea, except for coding schools have a way for employers to meet up with students. And so he was like, this is something they're interested in working on, that they were going to farm it out to be programmed by somebody else, but they wanted to see perhaps if we would be interested in doing it.
Cool. And so, how long did you have to build it?
I think we had about 3 weeks, and probably the first 3 or 4 days, or right around that, were for design, and then we spent many long days getting it going.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, should we do the screen share now? Does one of you want to share your screen and walk me through BootcampXChange?
Sure. Steven, do you have that on yours, or?
I mean, I can. It's
I'm not sure I have the latest.
Well, I have the live site, so.
Well, yeah, if you want to, yeah, I can do that. It's fine.
Doesn't matter. What's it not good? Let me see. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so this is the intro page to BootcampXChange, just kind of the landing page that everyone comes to. Explains what it is. You have the option. You can sign in as an employer, code schooler, and these are some of the partners they have now for the bootcamp, which these are all, I guess, newer ones. These weren't here when we initially built the site, but that's good. They've gotten some. So trying to see, like if I go in to sign in, I'm a registered user. I can sign in. You can either have a username and password, or you can sign in with LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn account set up with this already. So when you come in, you sign in. I'm signed in as a student right now. So you have your profile picture. You have the basic information about you, coding school I went to, where it was located, my prior background, where I live, previous employment. You can put in the skills you have. You can add skills to it. So like this is landing page whenever you log in as a student. So like you have a edit profile page. I can come in here, make adjustments. If I no longer want to use the service, I can delete it. You can link to your resume, pull it up, you can store your resume. Sorry, I'm at work, so then you can also come in here and browse other student profiles. So these are other people who have signed up for the thing. Probably the most useful part, which this can always be expanded in the future. I'm not sure who all is in the database, but you can search by location. So I can find students in Atlanta, Georgia, but it's not going to just pull up Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to pull up cities in the vicinity of Atlanta, Georgia. So if I search, I went from 38 profiles to 15. These are all students who are in the Atlanta area, so you can look at those. I could look at students that are in the Atlanta area if I wanted to. And you can filter by skills. I really don't know if this is what this is going to do, but we'll see. So I have 9 skills. So searching through HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, I have 9 students who had those. As you can see, each student I searched for is in the Atlanta area, and they have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
And can you search for companies as well?
I'm sorry? For companies?
Yeah, companies.
No, not at this time. No, you can't search for companies.
Okay.
What it's really designed for is for employers to come in and be able to go through, because you can also sign up as an employer. For employers, they're looking for a certain skill set or for a certain location to be able to filter code school graduates, and they know what they're getting. They're getting people who have an education but may not have a lot of experience yet. And so it's really a place for them to be able to come and filter out what they want. Because one of the things we've noticed is that when you get most of the job boards now, people put up a posting and they get 100 resumes, and out of that, maybe 5 actually meet the qualifications or whatever. This kind of reverses the process and allows the employer to go and pick out people that have what they want.
That's really cool. And what sort of technologies did you use to build it?
The back end was PHP and MySQL, and the front end we used Bootstrap and just hand coded everything.
Nice. Did you have to learn any new technologies that you hadn't already covered in class?
Yeah, PHP, we covered PHP in class, but for some of the functionality that we wanted to do, it definitely went beyond what we had learned in class. Things we learned in class definitely helped. Definitely helped me find solutions for problems. But yeah, it was there were a lot of new things that went into the site that it was rewarding, but it also led to some long days building it for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. And can you tell us about one of the kind of challenges or problems you had that you managed to overcome during the process of building BootcampXChange?
Yeah, one of the things in general, this query about searching, well, one for searching by location. The way I initially built it, it would have been very intensive of having to call on the Google API for maps, which is not something you really want to have to do unnecessarily repeatedly because you only get so many free queries in a day. So I had to go and find a totally different way around that. It wound up being a relatively simple solution. It was a lot of reworking from the way it was originally built, but then also not just that, but then having the search location and building the query to add to where you can search by employment type or search by skills, having that all come. We had done queries, but this was definitely a next level as far as complication or being complicated. Definitely, I don't know. It was a lot more difficult than I had anticipated, but it works. So.
Oh, well done. That looks really cool. Looks good. And how is DigitalCrafts using BootcampXChange now?
Are you going to start? Or?
You can go ahead. I'm not, because
Okay.
I believe that they're going to go ahead and launch it, or have launched it. I'm not really sure up to date on what their latest endeavors are with it.
Yeah, apparently, I guess it's been like a soft launch so far. They've mentioned it to a few people, but they, at some point in the near future, not too long after this, they plan on promoting it. And I guess they're just going to try to see what the interest level is and take it from there.
Cool, that's awesome. Oh, thanks for walking us through that. It looks like you guys have done an awesome job with that. And that's so exciting that, you know, it's going to have a proper launch and everything soon.
Yeah.
Stuart, do you wanna tell me about what you're doing now?
Right now, I am doing freelance work, and I'm also looking for remote positions. I am located in northern Florida. I'm not in a major metro area, so there's not as many employment opportunities in the immediate vicinity. So I'm trying to, like I said, get some freelance work going and do some remote work.
Awesome, good on you. And Stephen, what are you up to these days?
I'm employed as a software engineer at Riskalyze. They're a startup based out of California, but they have an office here in Atlanta. I think I initially applied for a front-end engineering role, but it looks like I'll probably be doing full-stack programming, so I'll be doing front-end and back-end here.
Oh, cool. That's exciting. Do you know what languages you're going to be using or anything there?
Yeah, fortunately for me, we're using a lot of the same stuff we used in school. They do a lot of PHP. They also do Node for their back-end stuff as well. They're transitioning some things to Node. I mean, basic JavaScript, jQuery. They have a couple of frameworks on top of that, Backbone, and on top of that, Marionette, which I'd never heard of before. So definitely things I have to learn, but at the same time, there are certainly similarities to my experience in school that help.
That's awesome. And did you get, like, what sort of career support did you get from DigitalCrafts to help you find this role?
This particular role I happened to find on my own completely, but they were very good about, probably the last 3 or 4 weeks of the course. Jake would send out constant post messages of positions that they found. They were always looking for companies that might be looking, for new hires. They brought a couple of companies in to talk to us who could be looking for positions. So they were definitely trying to stay on top and make sure, that we all had opportunities to look at.
That's awesome. When did you guys actually graduate from DigitalCrafts?
February 12th.
Oh, cool, just this year?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's exciting. Oh, wow, you guys are doing so well already after, like, less than a month after graduation. That's so cool. And what advice do either or both of you have for people wanting to change careers and take a boot camp and become a web developer?
It's just to make sure it's what you want to do. Don't just do it because it's the hot new thing or whatever. Make sure you actually have an interest in it, because it takes a lot of time and dedication to get good at these skills. And it's also the kind of thing where the skill sets are constantly changing, so you have to enjoy learning, because basically for the rest of your career you're going to be learning new skills. So you have to be comfortable with that.
That's really good advice. And Stephen, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would totally agree with everything he said. Also, like, for me, I think it helped. I definitely tried to study it in the 2 to 3 months leading up to the boot camp. If I had just gone in completely cold turkey, it would have been a lot more overwhelming. It was definitely moments where it was very overwhelming, but it certainly helped having some background knowledge and just kind of getting in the mindset of thinking like a coder. And also, it's a good period for you to see if you're going to hate it or not. No reason to do it if you're not going to like it. And then once you're actually in the program, my number one piece of advice for somebody is just you got to work really hard. If you don't put a lot into it, you probably won't get a lot out of it. But yeah, if you're going to do it, you need to do it. And just it seems like, hey, this is never going to end when you first start, but by the time it's over, it's gone by pretty quickly. And so it's just while you're there, just put as much time, as many hours as you possibly can in.
Yeah, that sounds like really good advice. Awesome. Well, I think that's almost all of my questions now. I was just wondering if there was anything else that either of you would like to add about your experiences at DigitalCrafts.
Just would like to say it was a very positive experience for me, and I'd certainly encourage people to look into boot camps as a viable option for career changes. I've learned a tremendous amount, and I realized boot camp is really just the beginning. It gets you up to speed as quickly as possible, and DigitalCrafts did an excellent job of that.
That's awesome. Stephen, did you have anything?
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that. And then I would encourage, if possible, if you're going into a boot camp, if you can meet the instructor to make sure that you will actually know who's going to teach you. I think it makes a world of difference. If I'd been in a boot camp with a bad instructor, I think my experience would have been completely different. And so yeah, I would look into that. I think I don't know. For me, that could have been 80–90% of it. You could have a great program that teaches has a great curriculum, but if you don't have if you don't have someone that can actually teach it, there's a lot of people who are very knowledgeable who aren't necessarily great at imparting their knowledge to others. So for me, that's pretty crucial.
And just to add to that, I agree with everything he said. And one thing that really made it special is that nobody got left behind. If you were willing to put in the effort, you got the help that you needed. And so we all got some personal attention, and that was very valuable.
That's awesome. Oh, it sounds like you guys had awesome experiences, and congratulations on getting through a boot camp. I know they're very intense and difficult to get through, but it sounds like you guys have done really well, and now you're really focused on your careers, so that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks so much for joining me today for this chat. It's so interesting to hear about what you've been up to, and BootcampXChange, that's awesome. So well done on that. And thanks everyone for watching. If you want to know more about DigitalCrafts or any of the other coding bootcamps, just check out our website, coursereport.com, and there's lots of information, reviews, articles, and more. So thanks again, and yeah, take care. Bye.
Bye.